Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Edgar Olivo. I will be your facilitator for today's session. It's a pleasure to have you join us, and welcome to the CARES Act Readiness Program for Small Businesses in our live sessions. The Arizona Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the Arizona Small Business Association, ASBA, are proud to bring you the CARES Act Readiness Program for Small Businesses, a free training program that helps both novice and experienced borrowers navigate the federal CARES Act. With the new round of funding, small businesses are encouraged to prepare for the Paycheck Protection Program, particularly now that the forgiveness process has been clarified. ASBA and the Chamber have leveraged their network of bank members, community partners, and online platforms to connect program participants directly with lending resources. And we are grateful to have our partners from the U.S. Small Business Administration and the Maricopa Small Business Development Center for supporting our small business participants with this program, as well as Acronis, CyberFit Financing, and Lendio, who have created a platform to accelerate and streamline the process for eligible small businesses to access capital. We know there have been recent updates about funding, eligibility, and forgiveness. With that, I'm very happy to share with you that we have our business experts on these calls, and they have the most recent information for you to take action now. I will introduce them during our question and answer session. Let's take a look at what our agenda looks like today. We will start off with a weekly CARES Act update. Then we'll jump straight into our expert panel and answer any questions that you may have. Then we have a special presentation from our friends at ASBA, who will be sharing with you more resources around grants and support services for small businesses in Arizona. And then we'll close off by summarizing all of the resources that we've shared today with our next steps for small business owners. So as a reminder, I want to encourage, if you have any questions, to send them through the chat room, and I will be collecting them to share them with our experts during our panel session. And I also want to remind our participants that we have a new module with all of the updated forgiveness process already on our website. And if you want to hear our past live sessions, you may go to caresactaz.com, and there is a link there where you will be able to find all of our videos from our last session. So welcome to the session again. Let's go ahead and get started with our friends over at the Arizona Chamber of Commerce and Industry. We have Laura Siscomani on the line. She is the Director of Development with the Arizona Chamber of Commerce. Good morning, Laura. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Good morning, and good morning to all of our program participants who join us this morning. We at the Arizona Chamber of Commerce have continued to stay in touch with Arizona's congressional delegation to get the most updated information on the CARES Act, on economic stimulus packages, and of course the Paycheck Protection Program. As of Tuesday, more than 4.7 million loans worth close to $516.5 billion have been distributed through the Paycheck Protection Program, which also includes cancellations. So as of June 20th, there is about $128 billion remaining in the fund. And Congress had initially allocated about $610 billion to PPP. Democratic Representative James Clyburn, who is the chairman of a House panel overseeing coronavirus relief spending, has asked the SBA's Inspector General to investigate reports that the agency may have approved more than 1,000 duplicate PPP loans that would have cost as much as $100 million. And I'll remind our participants, this may be because many borrowers submitted multiple applications through different lenders and sometimes provided different identification information, which we think likely explains the duplicates. So the SBA is looking into that, but all this is to say that there may be even more funds remaining that business owners that may be made available to business owners in the future. And that's a great segue to the next portion of my update, which is Senators Ben Cardin, Chris Coons, and Jeanne Shaheen have proposed the Prioritized Paycheck Protection Program. That's a tongue twister, so they've abbreviated it to P4. It would be called the P4 loan, and what they propose under this new bill would be a new loan program, a subset of PPP for borrowers that are self-employed or have 100 or fewer employees that have demonstrated a revenue loss of 50% or more due to the pandemic, compared to a relevant period. And there are more restrictions with this program, but I'll briefly go through some of the requirements. Borrowers would have to have fully used their initial PPP loan or be on pace to use the funding. The P4 loans could be as large as 2.5 times monthly payroll costs, just under the initial PPP loans threshold, but may not be any larger than $2 million. Businesses that have affiliated locations like restaurants or hotels may pursue separate P4 loans under this proposal, but in the aggregate, the loans could not exceed $2 million. It would allow borrowers to apply for forgiveness as early as 8 weeks after the loan is dispersed, if they have fulfilled payroll requirements, rather than wait until 24 weeks or December 31st to avoid increases to the cost of the loan as interest accrues. Also, these loans would not be available to publicly traded companies. They would be subject to the same terms, conditions, and forgiveness criteria as the initial PPP loans. And it would also provide lenders a minimum processing fee of $2,500 per loan to ensure that lenders don't lose money by processing small dollar loans, and to also avoid that lenders cherry pick larger loans. So this theme of access is really important to this proposal. It would increase access to P4 assistance to underserved businesses. So it would reserve a certain portion of money, about 20% of funds, for employers with 10 or fewer employees, along with giving priority to loans from these firms. So the applications that would be given priority would be for firms that have 10 or less employees, or come from underserved or rural borrowers. The bill also requires SBA to issue guidance within 5 days, as required by the CARES Act, in order to instruct lenders on the proper priority given to certain borrowers. There's a keen interest in helping rural borrowers. There's a keen interest in helping the underserved, including veterans. That's a highlight of this piece as well. So it also requires SBA to update the PPP loan application to collect demographic information on PPP recipients. The timeline for P4 is really up in the air. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has expressed that if they do approve another coronavirus relief package, it will not be until Senate returns from recess in July. And there's still a big question mark if this would be folded into the package, but it's something that's getting a lot of attention, and we will keep you updated regarding the viability of the P4 proposal. And Edgar, that is my update for today.
Wonderful, Laura. Thank you so much. It's great to hear that there are initiatives like this being proposed to keep helping our small business community. Thank you so much for that great update. And now let's go ahead and get started with our conversation with our experts. You just heard from Laura Siscumani, who happens to be she serves as the development director for the Arizona Chamber of Commerce, and she leverages this role to fully engage partners and members across the full spectrum of research initiatives and programs offered by the Arizona Chamber family. We're very happy to have Laura on the call with us. We also have Robin Duncan. She is the vice president of ASBA and has resided in Arizona for more than half her life and spent over 15 years in the corporate world in hospitality, 20 years as a small business owner, and 8 years with the Arizona Small Business Association. She has vast experience in business development for large hospitality sectors and can advise on anything from sales and marketing to operating a small business. Welcome, Robin, to our call, and you will be hearing from more from Robin in her special presentation. We also have Belinda Rosenhausler, who is a 23-year veteran of commercial real estate financing with CDC Small Business Finance, a nonprofit who provides SBA 504 financing to small business owners in Arizona and Nevada. And Belinda is our SBA loan expert, so we're very happy to have Belinda on our call as well. And we also have our partners with the U.S. Small Business Administration. We have Karen Allen, who is the Senior Area Manager for Northern Arizona, for the U.S. Small Business Administration, and is also the Native American Affairs representative for the state. The U.S. Small Business Administration helps Americans start, build, and grow businesses. The SBA was created in 1953 as an independent agency of the federal government to aid, counsel, assist, and protect the interests of small business concerns, to preserve free competitive enterprise, and to maintain and strengthen the overall economy of our nation. Karen, thank you so much for being with us today. We also have our business advisor from the Maricopa Small Business Development Center, Carol Poole. The Maricopa Small Business Development Center network provides advising, training, online courses, and resources for businesses throughout the valley. They are Arizona's largest and most accessible statewide source of assistance for small businesses, and they have been opening doors to opportunity in Arizona since 1988. So we have great company today. I know that many of you would have a lot of questions, so please send your questions in the chat room so I may add it to our list for our panelists. To kick off our conversation with our panelists, we will start with some of the most pressing questions that we've received over time since we've started this program, and hopefully that will kick off some ideas to answer any of your doubts that you may have on the call. So thank you once again, panelists. We're going to go ahead and get started with our friend Karen. Karen has been sending us a lot of great resources over time about the PPP program and the EIDL program and all of the updates. So let's start off with you, Karen, and let's just kind of kick off the conversation with any updates. Let's start off with, for example, if we have some folks that have applied for the PPP, we know that the deadline's coming right around the corner, and they haven't heard from their bank. What do you recommend to them? Good morning, Karen.
Edgar, good morning, Edgar, and thank you again for the opportunity to address the small business community, especially about SBA's programs, including the PPP. So to your question, if, for example, a small business has applied to the PPP, but has not yet heard back from the lender to whom they applied, by all means, reach out to that lender as soon as possible for a status update. As you did mention, June 30th, which is the deadline for the loan to be approved by the SBA, it's around the corner. So we know that there are lenders who are still accepting and processing applications, but truly time is of the essence. And if you don't have the loan and you want the loan, reach out to one of our technical resource partners, including the SBDC, who in your area is very well aware of which lenders are processing loans for the PPP at this date still. There are some lenders who are not accepting PPP applications anymore, but our resource partners at the SBDC would be able to help you put together a complete and accurate loan package if you haven't yet done so, or if your lender's not responsive for whatever reason, to find a new lender that could get it through the queue.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for those great tips. And I'd like to also bounce off the conversation with our friends over at Maricopa SBDC. I know they've been very busy supporting small businesses with the PPP loans. Carol, let's go ahead and jump over to you. What updates do you have for us for small businesses right now in terms of PPP loans and PPP forgiveness? Any updates that you could share with us?
Well, actually, we have a lender list who are still accepting PPP, although the deadline, the last day is June 30th from SBA. So now it's like 3 days from now will be the last day people can apply a PPP. Mm-hmm. So we need a lender list. We're welcome to come to us, and we are very happy to share the list with you. Mm-hmm. To the last chance to apply. As far as SBDC concerned, what we do is that whatever question you had about the PPP, either application or you want to apply for forgiveness, we are able to help. We have some experts, full-time experts from the bank who had a bank background, and also from other financial organizations who have experience to help people to finalize the application and to understand the statements. So all the service no cost for anybody who ask help. So I would say we can help all the small business owners who have any questions related to PPP. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that update. I know that the service is free over at the Maricopa Small Business Development Center. And so we encourage small business owners that if you do want to get support organizing your financials, just as Carol was mentioning, that they do have the technical support. They have experts who have financing background and very, very supportive to help you with that. Belinda, what has been your experience recently with the PPP loans, and what can you share with us? Any updates that you can share from your front?
Good morning, Edgar, and thank you again for including CDC Small Business Finance. CDC Small Business Finance, they are still accepting PPP requests, but here we are, like you just heard from Carol, it is the 26th. But in addition to the PPP program, there are still SBA loans that are available. SBA is still financing commercial real estate, equipment. We've got express loans. We've got Fast Fund, which is up to $100,000. There are other avenues for loans, working capital. There's a particular loan that's available that is based on your credit score. One thing to keep in mind is where you've got a business owner who's seeking lending, the most important thing is understanding who is your bank and understanding what are those financials and what is the story behind your business. Every business is dealing with the cut in their sales. But if there's that potential for that business to continue, and there's a potential for the tax returns to then go back to 2019, 2018, that's what lenders are looking at today. So there is still access to funds available. And that's one thing I really want to let everybody know, that it's difficult to get loans today because of the fact all the lenders are focused on PPP. That is the most important thing, especially with this cutoff. And like Lauda mentioned, the new wave of financing that's available. That if they want to visit our website, I know that we're a resource that's available, and there's lots of information on our website in addition to everyone that's on the panel today.
Thank you so much, Belinda. So it's interesting that you mentioned that there are still many programs and other programs coming out for small businesses in terms of financing programs. It's encouraging to hear that there's still investment happening in the small business community. If you've gotten a PPP loan, do you have good chances of also applying for other lending, Belinda?
Yes, there are. We're looking at loans right now where the business owner has had the PPP loan and also the EIDL loan. So you're having that. That's all infused into the business. And for what the lender, what I look at is, now I have to cover that debt payment. So it's one thing to sit on the balance sheet, and it's another thing to now have to incur that debt payment in our cash flow. So yes, we are seeing that, and everyone is learning as we're going. Mm-hmm. So now we're looking at how do we deal with these trends that are today, and what does tomorrow hold for debt repayment? So that's the challenge. What my program is, the 504, I participate with the lender. So that participation with the lender is that enhancement to secure that commercial real estate transaction financing.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. It's always great to offer and throw out more resources in addition that go beyond the PPP funds. But back to the PPP and EIDL program, Karen, could you tell us an update that I know there's been some updates with the EIDL program. It's been reopened for small businesses to reapply. Could you tell us some updates around that?
Sure. So, yes, the EIDL program, which stands for Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, recently reopened. Prior to that, it had been closed to all businesses except for agricultural enterprises, but it has reopened, and businesses are able to apply for an EIDL, as well as was mentioned, other loans, including the PPP. EIDL doesn't have a deadline at the moment as to when it's going to close. So it's open, and we encourage folks to take a good look at their business needs going forward and seeing how the EIDL and the PPP can work together to help build resiliency through this very difficult time of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Thank you so much for that update. It's good news that the EIDL program is reopened and that there's no deadline. So there, as Karen mentioned, it is good to see how those two can help you become resilient during this pandemic. And back to Carol, I would like to ask you, what is the process for a small business owner to schedule appointments and get the support from the Maricopa SBDC?
There are several ways. So if you can write down my email, you can just email me. I can register you as one of our clients in our system.
And we do have Carol's email on the screen. So if you are watching our presentation, just go ahead and take a screenshot, and we will also be sharing that email at the end of the presentation. Sorry, Carol, I just wanted to make sure I threw that in there.
Yeah, thank you. So there's another two ways you can do. One is to go to our website and just request for counseling. There is a link, request for counseling link. You can click and just put your information, then we will contact you in 2 or 3 business days. Another way is that you can just call our center. Although we are not in the office right now, we work remotely, but our phone are all connected to our cell phone. So just call us and we can register for you. So
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And you're offering virtual consultations, is that correct?
That's right.
Yeah. Great. Thank you so much for that, Carol. And now that we have a lot of updates around the PPP forgiveness, the extension has been made now. Instead of 8 weeks, it's 24 weeks. And
That's
the
right.
spend has also changed. Now it went from 75% to 60% going towards your payroll. That should offer more flexibility for businesses to kind of re-strategize on how to use the funding. Carol, what kind of advice are you giving business owners right now on how to utilize the PPP funds so that they can maximize their forgiveness?
Well, so first of all, that is only apply to part of the PPP, I would say, borrowers.
Mm-hmm.
The people who borrowed before, who got money before, who got funded before June 3rd, still have option to choose this 8 weeks window instead of 24.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an option for some people to decide how they want to use the money. I would say the best is case by case. It all depends what the business, how the business runs. So I would say the best way for the business owner to use their money is to sit down with one of ours to have an overlook of their business, and then to see the best way, I'll say the most efficient way to use their business. I give an example. One of my clients, okay, and they got money before June 3rd. They start spending their money is about like 70% of the total fund, and then the new rule issued like, oh, as long as they use the payroll cost up to 60%, then they can get the whole amount of forgiveness. Then he started paying his employee. He said, oh, hey, since I have no business, I'm going to close again, because the new rule definitely give me more space or more time to spend money. So I would say it depends where the business owner are. I mean, how much they spend their money already.
Mm-hmm.
They can sit down with one of ours, and then we can talk about that.
Yeah, it definitely appears to be a case-by-case basis, but the flexibility has been well received by small businesses. Once again, I want to encourage our folks who are catching on to this call that we have everyone's emails. All of our experts their emails are listed on our screen, and if you don't get a chance to catch those, we will be sending you a toolkit at the end of the conversation with everyone's contact information, so you can reach out to our panelists for more advice and more expertise. And Karen, I'd like to talk about some of the other resources that you mentioned before in other sessions about what can small business owners do outside of going to Maricopa Business Development Centers. You mentioned that there were other resources. Could you list some of those for us, please?
Sure. The SBA has a resource partner network that does receive funding in part from the SBA. We've spoken about the SBDCs. They're certainly present throughout the state, but also the nation, as are a very important resource called the Women's Business Centers. We have women's business centers throughout the state, and I believe the information is available in the toolkit, and they're also available throughout the nation as well. And in particular, they help women entrepreneurs and women of color with their business, particularly during these challenging times. For the veteran community, so we have the Veterans Business Opportunity Centers, which are focused on veterans and military spouses. And that is a very supportive program that service members are able to use even while they are active duty. That information will also be included in the toolkit. And then we have something called SCORE, which is Service Corps of Retired Executives. And that is very much what it sounds like, retired executives who still want to be of service to their communities. They volunteer to mentor small business owners in their area of expertise. So those appointments are available online and virtually. Pretty much folks are working virtually now. And both SCORE and the SBDC, WBCs, and the VBOCs, Veteran Business Opportunity Centers, have webinars very similar to this one, live and also pre-recorded to help folks with whatever subject matter interest they may have. So there are many, many resources available through this SBA's resource network, and others like ASBA and Arizona Commerce Authority have their resources available too. So help is out there.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And I always like to emphasize all of the resources that are available that are funded through the SBA to show the breadth of expertise that's out there and the support for the small businesses. So we're very happy that we have Maricopa SBDC and SBA on these calls as well. Now, I want to also encourage our participants who are on this call that if you have any questions, please go ahead and send them through the chat room, and I'd love to share them with our experts. And before we start closing out our conversation, I'd like to ask Belinda one more time, another question about the SBA loans in terms of what kind of documentation would I need to start applying for some additional loans outside of the PPP?
Typically what you've got to be able to provide are tax returns. You want to have at least, SBA requires 3 years tax returns plus interim. It's that interim portion that is going to be the most important in the story behind it. But some of the loans are only based on your FICO score. So there is access to working capital through our website, through other funds that are available. And those are still some financials, but the most of it is done online, and you're given an answer very quickly because of the fact that it's based on your FICO score. So there are other resources that are available on our website.
Very good, very good. And we also link that on our resource toolkit, so make sure you check that out. And now I'd like to just kind of go around our panelists and ask for some of your final remarks and tips for the trade. What would you like to share? Let's start off with Karen. Karen, do you have any final remarks for us?
I would just recommend that folks put together a business resiliency team that can include some of the partners that are on the call today and take a good look at what's out there. Some of these programs like the PPP are truly innovative and a lifeline. And if you haven't applied yet, by all means, move forward to evaluating and doing so. The resources are here. They were here before the pandemic, and we will be here after the pandemic, standing ready to help out. So thank you for the opportunity, and best of luck to everyone.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you so much. And Carol, do you have any final remarks or tips that you would like to share with us?
Well, SBDC helping business from startup to grow, to sustain. So we're helping the whole process for the business. So we're not only doing like funding, counseling, we're doing other things as well, like marketing, promotion, HR. So I will say, whoever had any questions related to anything, about business, you're welcome to SBDC, and we will see what we can do to help.
Thank you so much, Carol, for joining us, and thank you for sharing those tips. Belinda, do you have any final remarks or tips you'd like to share with us?
Yes, I will say to these small business owners that are listening, all of these resources that are available to you are free. Take advantage of them. Get business coaching, get a better pulse of your business, of the financials, and prepare yourself for the future. These are great resources that you've pulled together here, Edgar, and I really hope that business owners take advantage of all of this help that is there for them. So reach out and ask for help. Everyone is here to help.
Thank you so much. Some great advice. And Laura, I know we got a great presentation from you on the CARES Act update, but we've also got into the weeds in our conversation. Do you have any final remarks or updates or comments or tips that you'd like to share with us?
No, I mean, our chamber will continue to keep our ear to the ground when it comes to any additional resources that come through the federal government for small businesses, and we will share that information with our program participants. Thank you so much for joining us, and we're happy to advocate on your behalf.
Thank you so much, Laura. And now we're going to hear from Robin. Robin has some great information to share with you, and she's going to be sharing with us a special presentation on grants and support services for small businesses in Arizona. Robin, welcome to our call. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Edgar and panelists. So many great resources. And I'd like to just add additional resources that the Arizona Small Business Association can provide to you as well. The Arizona Small Business Association is known as ASBA, continues to be the voice for small businesses for over 45 years. And we are known as the Connectors, so we hope you'll reach out to us. Some of the areas that I'd like to share would be that some of the webinars I know that Belinda, Karen, and Carol and Laura had shared were fantastic. We also offer some safety marketing, human resource, and virtual selling events. We've partnered with the Arizona chapter of National Safety Council, which will bring you back to work safely, and we will be providing some webinars to you in the month of July and August, so we'll provide that information to you as well. Please do attend those because they will provide some certification opportunities for you as well. I also wanted to mention that the ACA, the Arizona Commerce Authority, one of our great partners as well, continues to support the small business community, and what they're doing is they offer a small business boot camp and collective, which is designed to help the businesses return stronger than ever. And this boot camp will provide a daily touch point for business leaders to connect with mentors and learn strategies to help them navigate the road ahead. And again, this information will be provided to you. I also wanted to share, I know that the ACA is providing a training grant. And this is a training grant that provides support for reimbursing costs associated with the training for your organization. And this will help a great number of your new employees provide information to them and training resources. Additionally, there are some 3 unique funding opportunities offered from the City of Phoenix, and these are micro business, solo practitioner, entrepreneur resources, the Restaurant Restart grant, and we also have some other relief grant opportunities to you that will be also in your toolkit that Emma will be providing. I'd like to end right now by letting you know that as a community, we have power in numbers, and we're here for you to help navigate the road ahead. And if you have other questions, please feel free to reach out to the ASBA organization. We have an email set up for you called caresactaz@asba.com. And we also can be reached by phone, and that information will be provided to you as well. Thank you. Thank you for attending this as well, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much, Robin. And I want to emphasize once again that we do have a dedicated email. It's caresactaz@asba.com. So go ahead and take a note of that email. If you have any questions, we do have dedicated support to help you with any of your questions on that email as well. And as Robin had mentioned, that you will be getting a toolkit with all of the great tips that we've been sharing here today. So thank you so much, Robin, for that. Now I'd like to share a little bit more resources with you. If you don't have an existing banking relationship or cannot submit through your current lender, we have partnered up with Acronis CyberFit Financing, who's created a platform, which is an online tool that will connect you to a network of approved lenders who are ready and available to process your application. There is no fee to use this service. The link is on our screen right now on our presentation, but you will also be getting it in the resource toolkit. Check it out if you've not applied for the loan, for the PPP loan or the EIDL program or any other loan service that they offer. Particularly, this service is for the PPP loan and the EIDL programs that we've been discussing. Check it out before the June 30th deadline. We want to thank Lendio, Acronis CyberFit Financing, powered by Lendio, for sharing this resource with us. And to summarize what we've been talking about and to share with you some additional tips, there are 3 scenarios that we think folks are in that we want to help you with. So if you have already applied for the PPP and you got approved, here's what you can do. We recommend that you set up a new bank account to keep track of your funds. Remember that 60% goes to payroll and 40% on utilities and rent. We encourage you to track how you spent it, what you spent it on, and when you spent it, so that when it comes time to apply for the forgiveness, that you are ready to go and you have all your numbers all calculated accurately. The covered period is now 24 weeks from the loan disbursement date. We want to remind folks that you should file your 2019 taxes. The deadline has been deferred until July 15, 2020. As Belinda was mentioning, tax reports are very important in the loan application process. If you applied and are waiting to hear about your funds, here's what you can do. Plan for your recovery and create new goals. During this time, as our experts like Karen and Carol have been sharing, that there is support out there for you to create new goals and revamp your business plan to be more resilient. We highly encourage that you take advantage of those free resources while you wait for your funds. If you are self-employed and don't have employees, make sure to see the SBA guidelines to ensure you can qualify for any benefits such as unemployment or small business relief programs under the CARES Act. I do have the link here for the unemployment office that is providing funds for independent contractors. It's des.az.gov/PUA. We also encourage you that you complete your application and stay in touch with your bank regularly so you don't lose your spot. Our experts have mentioned that that banking relationships are very important to make sure that you get your application submitted and that it's complete. You have until June 30th to get this done, so we do encourage you to keep that relationship open. And if you've not applied for small business relief, here's what to expect. We still encourage you to apply. As Laura was mentioning, there are $128 billion available still. You have until June 30th. We encourage you to use Lendio to submit your application quickly. You could use that service. It's completely free. Just remember that you will need to gather your documents such as your tax reports, your tax filings for the last few years, payroll records, and forms required. And if you need help with that, reach out to the Maricopa SBDC or reach out to our email, caresactaz@asba.com, and we will make sure to connect you to the right people. Check out your local Chamber of Commerce and Economic Development offices for grants, discount programs, and educational resources. If you visit our website, caresactaz.com, we have a plethora of economic development offices and chambers who are community partners ready to support you. And so depending on your geographic region, you might want to check them out and see what resources they have available for you as well. And again, check your email for that toolkit. We do share this information with you. And so we had a relatively shorter session than normal, but we did cover a lot of ground, and we also want to encourage folks to visit the uschamber.com website. The new PPP loan forgiveness guide has been created, and you can find it directly on their website. This is also available within the modules, and I want to remind folks that if you've completed the modules, you will find all of these resources in the videos and the links below the videos of the modules. So everything is available to you in those modules, and you can revisit them as much as you'd like. And of course, I want to just thank everyone for participating in today's session and remind you of a couple of other things once again. So check your email. ASBA will be sending you an email with a toolkit of information we went over today, as well as an evaluation link for you to tell us how we're doing with this program. Please visit our partners' resources, CDC Small Business Financing, ASBA, Arizona Chamber, Arizona Commerce Authority, and Lendio. They've all worked very hard to bring you sophisticated tools to help you be by your side as we help small businesses access capital from the CARES Act. Thank you, partners and panelists, for your presentations today. And thank you, business owners, for showing resilience, commitment, and patience, and above all, for allowing us to help you during this time. We are here to help. We will get through this together. Please have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much for joining us today.